God has a promise for you, Saint City. A promise that will fill your spine with steel, that will give you courage in your spirit. It's this, that God is with you in the places he's called you, to the people he's called you to, and the position he has given you. I need courage when, first, I doubt that God could use me. These first 5 verses help us see that I need courage when I doubt that God could use me. Because God is with me is the encouragement that we need to believe that. That God is with me even when I doubt God could use me. Look back at verse 1. After the death of Moses, the servant of the Lord. Now, you might be new to studying the Bible. You might not know who Moses is or where the heck we are in the story of the Bible. Now, the Bible was written, the first 5 books, by Moses, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. He wrote the first 5 books, and he comes on the scene into book 2 called Exodus. First, we have Abraham, who we're introduced to in Genesis 12. He has a kid named Isaac, who has a kid named Jacob. Then he has 12 sons who become what we know as the people of Israel. Israel goes about their life. They land in Egypt, and they endure 400 years of slavery. And then we meet their deliverer, Moses, in Exodus. Now, Exodus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, guess what? It's Moses leading God's people out of Egypt into a desert wandering for 40 years. And you see that phrase that describes Moses, after the death of Moses, the servant of the Lord? Moses is the only person in all of Genesis through this point in the Bible who's described like that. It's highlighting his special relationship with God. It's saying, hey, this is Moses. He was special. And Joshua knows it because Joshua was his assistant for 40 years. Joshua is actually very aware that Moses is awesome. In fact, Moses is the best leader Joshua has ever known. Joshua had been born into Egyptian slavery. He knew what it was like. He knew what it was like to have a leader that was against him, that was opposed to him, that wanted to enslave him. And now he's been following this man Moses for 40 years through the desert. And he has lost the greatest leader he has ever known. And he's stepping into the role of being his successor. We learn about Joshua right there that he is the son of none. That doesn't mean he doesn't have a dad. That means his dad had a bad name. Okay? Joshua, the son of none. We don't know who his mom is, but Moses, my servant, is dead. Joshua, out of the grief of losing his leader, is now jumping into the leader of the people of Israel. And God gives him some commandments. Arise, go over this Jordan, you and all the people, into the land that I am giving to you, to the people of Israel. Every place that your sole of your foot will tread upon, I have given to you, just as I promised to Moses. God is reinforcing to Joshua that just as he promised to Moses, he is now promising to him. The promises didn't evaporate, they didn't disintegrate, they are still true, they will still come to pass. And Joshua has seen God at work in the life of Moses. In Exodus 17, he learned how to fight under the Lord's command, and he saw victory in God's plans. In Exodus 17, he also saw Moses interact with God, how to remember, how to recite and memorialize God's faithfulness to him. In Exodus 24, he sees Moses at Mount Sinai. And Joshua waits for Moses as he watches Moses meet with God. And he sees the consuming fire on the top of the mountain. In Exodus 32, he sees the Israelites receive the law and love their idols more and build a golden calf. In Exodus 33, he learns what it looks like to serve and minister with Moses, a man who walks with God, listens to God, talks to God face to face as one speaks with a friend. He saw what ministry looked like under Moses. He saw what leadership looked like under Moses. And now here he is being asked to be the leader by God of the Israelite people. He's without the one who led them through 40 years in the desert, without his friend, without his mentor, and his absence is certainly felt. He's gone. I don't know if you've ever experienced what it's like to have the absence of someone's presence before that you know is really helpful. Not so long ago, I was back in Chicago, and I got the opportunity to go to a Chicago Bulls game. And my friend's dad worked for the Chicago Bulls in the 90s. Of all the jobs in all the world to be working at a certain time and place, working for the Chicago Bulls in the 90s had to be a pretty good gig, okay? And so he was there when the Bulls were amazing at basketball. And what happened is a lot of his friends were still in the office and working for the organization. So when we get to the Bulls game with Greg, Bulls games with Greg are pretty legit because Greg knows everybody who works there. So what happens is when you go to the Bulls game with Greg, you not only get to go to the arena, you get to park in the VIP parking. Didn't know that existed. I learned it existed because of Greg. Not only that, I got not only the nosebleed seats at the United Center, I got to have floor seats at the United Center. Not only did I get to have floor seats, I got to go on the floor and take a picture. I didn't know that like somebody's leadership, their presence could mean so much. But then I went to a Bulls game without Greg one time. Not the same experience. I was sitting, I don't even know what row of the 300 level. I couldn't even see the guys anymore. I mean, they're 6'10" giants, right? But I can't see them even from that far away. So I'm watching them on the TV. I'm like, why did I drive to the city? Why am I watching this when I could have just watched it on TV at my house? You see, the power of presence can be really encouraging. It can be really strengthening because when you're with somebody who belongs where they're supposed to belong, you have the courage to go where you couldn't go before. And oftentimes when God appoints us into a role, into a responsibility in ministry, guess what? We start asking God questions like this. Did God really call me? Or am I just here because I was the only one with a pulse? We get deeper in insecurity and we'll ask questions like, can God really use someone like me with my past, my doubts, my insecurities? Could God really use me? Joshua didn't choose to lead. God chose Joshua to lead. And if you're being called into the work of the Lord, if God is calling you to be a small group leader or a team leader or a servant on campus, wherever God would call you, guess what? You can walk in the confidence that God himself is behind that and he is with you wherever you go. And I think there's 3 vulnerability points where we feel this tension, where we feel this rub against us that, man, I am not the person God would have in mind. 3 insecurities that God speaks to directly in Joshua that I think we can relate to as well. Look back at verse 3. It says this, every place that the sole of your foot will tread upon. Verse 5, no man shall be able to stand before you all the days of your life. Just as I was with Moses, that's a position, so I'll be with you. So the 3 vulnerabilities are this. A place, people, and a position. 3 vulnerabilities. A people, a place, and a position. The place Joshua was called to was a territory marked by darkness. The people he was called to stand against were hostile towards God, and the position he was given felt beyond his capability. Does that sound familiar to anybody at St. City? I know it sounds familiar to me. How am I going to go plant a church? How's God going to use me? I'm just a nobody from Crystal Lake, Illinois. What's he going to do with a guy like me in Tempe, Arizona? God has a promise for you, St. City. A promise that will fill your spine with steel, that will give you courage in your spirit. It's this, that God is with you in the places he's called you, to the people he's called you to, and the position he has given you. That you can walk in courage. You can walk in confidence. Why? Because God is with you. You are the exact person he had in mind for the job. That in your cubicle, guess what? God doesn't have somebody better in mind. He has you in mind. You're an everyday missionary right there. College students, you might think of yourself as a weak evangelist on a campus that needs Jesus. Guess what? God has nobody better in mind than you in the classroom that you're in the dorm that you live in. Moms, God has you there with those young ones, raising them, loving them, discipling them. Why? He is with you, and he is walking with you, and you are the person he has chosen for the work. Walk in courage. Do the next right thing, obeying God, because you can trust and have confidence and belief that he is with you, even when you doubt that God could use you. I hope you are seeing the wonderful reality that the organizing question of your life is not, are you ready for the work, but rather this, is God with you? It's not whether or not you're ready. It's whether or not God is with you. You might have heard it say this way: God does not equip the called or call the equipped, he equips the called. It's like that. Just say yes. That's what courage is. Saying yes and putting your yes on the table. To God, you can use me. No matter who I am or where I've been, God, you can use me if you are with me. We need courage when we doubt that God has picked the right person. When we doubt that he could use me.